This is the trill of 1,000 clear cornets and scream of the octave flute and strike of triangles. I play not a march for victors only. I play great marches for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also say it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I sound triumphal drums for the dead. I fling through my embouchures the loudest and gayest music to them. Vivas to those who have failed, and to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and those themselves who sank in the sea, and to all generals that lost engagements, and all overcome heroes, and the numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known. This is the meal pleasantly said. This is the meat and drink for natural hunger. It is for the wicked just the same as the righteous. I make appointments with all. I will not have a single person slighted or left away. The kept woman and sponger and thief are hereby invited. The heavy-lipped slave is invited. The venerable is invited. There shall be no difference between them and the rest. This is the press of a bashful hand. This is the float and odor of hair. This is the touch of my lips to yours. This is the murmur of yearning. This is the far-off depths and height reflecting my own face. This is the thoughtful merge of myself and the outlet again. Do you guess I have some intricate purpose? Well, I have, for the April rain has, and the mica on the side of a rock has. Do you take it, I would astonish, that the daylight astonish, or the early restart twittering through the woods? Do I astonish more than they? This hour I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you. Who goes there, hunkering gross, mystical nude? How is it I extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man anyhow? What am I and what are you? All I mark as my own, you shall set it with your own, else it were time lost listening to me. I do not snivel that snivel the world over, that months are vacuums in the ground but wallow and filth, that life is a sock and a sail, and nothing remains at the end but threadbare crape and tears. Whimpering and truckling forth with powders for invalids, conformity goes to the fourth removed. I cock my hat as I please indoors or out. Shall I pray, shall I venerate and be ceremonious? I have pried through the strata and analyzed to a hair, and counseled with doctors and calculated close, and found no sweeter fat than sticks to my own bones. In all people I see myself, none more and not one a barley corn less. In the good or bad I say of myself, I say of them. And I know I am solid and sound. To me the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me, and I must get what the writing means. And I know I am deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by a carpenter's compass. I know I shall not pass like a child's carlacue cut with a burnt stick at night. I know I am august. I do not trouble my spirit to vindicate itself or to be understood. I see that the elementary laws never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the level I plant my house by after all. I exist as I am, that is enough. If no other in the world be aware, I sit content, and if each and all be aware, I sit content. One world is aware and by far the largest to me, and that is myself, and whether I come to my own today, or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness I can wait. My foothold is tenon and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time. I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first I graft and increase upon myself, the latter I translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of man. I chant a new chant of dilation or pride. We have had talking and deprecating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It is a trifle. They will more than arrive there, everyone, and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea, half held by the night. Press close, bare-bosomed night. Press close, magnetic, nourishing night. Night of south winds, night of the large few stars. Still nodding night, mad, naked summer night. Smile, O voluptuous, cool-breast earth. Earth of the slumbering and liquid trees. Earth of departed sunset. Earth of the mountains misty-topped. Earth of the vitreous pore of the full moon just tinged with blue. Each shine and dark mattering the tide of the river. Each of the limpid gray of clouds brighter and clearer for my sake. Far swooping elbowed earth, rich apple-blossomed earth, smile for your lover comes. Prodigal, you have given me love, therefore I to you give love, oh unspeakable passionate love. Thruster holding me tight, and that I hold tight. We hurt each other as the bridegroom and the bride hurt each other. You see, I resign myself to you also. I guess what you mean. I behold from the beach your cricket inviting fingers. I believe you refuse to go back without feeding of me. We must have a turn together. I undress. Hurry me out of sight of the land. Cushion me soft. Rock me in billowy drowse. Dash me with amorous wet. I can repay you. Sea of stretched ground swells. Sea breathing broad and convulsive breath. Sea of the brine of life. Sea of unshoveled and always ready graves. Howler and scooper of storms. Capricious and dainty sea. I am integral with you. I too am of one face and of all faces, partaker of inflex and efflex, extoller of hate and conciliation, extoller of amiss and those that sleep in each other's arms. I am he attesting sympathy. Shall I make my list of things in a house and skip the house that supports them? I am the poet of common sense and of the demonstrable and of immortality. And I'm not the poet of goodness only. I do not decline to be the poet of wickedness also. Washes and razors for foo-foos, for me freckles and a bristling beard. What blurred is it about virtue and about vice? Evil propels me and reform of evil propels me. I stand indifferent. My gate is no fault finder's or rejector's gate. I moisten the roots of all that has grown. Did you fear some scrofula out of the unflagging pregnancy? Did you guess the celestial laws are yet to be worked over and rectified? I step up to say that what we do is right and what we affirm is right, and some is only the one of right. Witnesses of us one side a balance and the antipodal side a balance. Soft doctrine as steady help as stable doctrine. Thoughts and deeds of the present are rouse and early start. This minute that comes to me over the past decillions, there is no better than it and now. What behaved well in the past or behaves well today is not such a wonder. The wonder is always and always how there can be a mean man or an infidel. Endless unfolding of wars of ages, and mine a word of the modern, a word in mass. A word of the faith that never bogs, one time as good as another time. Here or henceforward it is all the same to me. A word of reality, materialism first and last imbuing. Hurrah for positive science, long live exact demonstration. Fetch stone crop and mix it with cedar and branches of lilac. This is a lexicographer or chemist. This made a grammar of the old cartouches. These mariners put the ship through dangerous unknown sea. This is the geologist, and this works with the scalpel, and this is the mathematician. Gentlemen, I receive you, and attach and clasp hands with you. The facts are useful and real. They are not my dwelling. I enter by them to an area of the dwelling. I am less the reminder of property or qualities, and more the reminder of life, and go on the square for my own sake and for others' sakes, and make short account of neuters and gildings, and favor men and women fully equipped, and beat the gong of revolt, and stop with fugitives, and them that plot and conspire. Walt Whitman, an American, one of the roughs, a cosmos, disorderly, fleshy, and sensual, eating, drinking, and breeding, no sentimentalist, no stander above men and women, or apart from them, no more modest than immodest. Unscrew the locks from the doors, unscrew the doors themselves from their jambs. Whoever degrades another degrades me, and whatever is done or said returns at last to me, and whatever I do or say I also return. Through me the afflatus surging and surging, through me the current and index. I speak the password primeval, I give the sign of democracy. By God, I will accept nothing which all cannot have their counterpart of on the same terms. Through me many long dumb voices, voices of the interminable generations of slaves, voices of prostitutes and of deformed persons, voices of diseased and despairing and of thieves and dwarfs, voices of cycles of preparation and accretion, and of the threads that connect the stars, and of wombs and of the father's stuff, and of the rights of them the others are down upon, of the trivial and flat and foolish and despised, of fog in the air and beetles rolling balls of dung. Through me forbidden voices, voices of sexes and lust, voices veiled, and I remove the veil, voices indecent by me clarified and transfigured. I do not press my finger across my mouth. I keep as delicate around the bowels as around the head and heart. Copulation is no more rank to me than death is. I believe in the flesh and the appetites. Seeing, hearing, and feeling are miracles, and each part and tug of me is a miracle. Divine am I inside and out, and I make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. The scent of these armpits is aroma finer than prayer. The head is more than churches or Bibles or creeds. If I worship any particular thing, it shall be some of the spread of my body. Translucent mold of me, it shall be you. Shaded ledges and rests, firm masculine culture, it shall be you. Whatever goes to the tilth of me, it shall be you. You, my rich blood, your milky stream pale, stripping of my life. Breast that presses against other breasts, it shall be you. My brain, it shall be your gout convolutions. Root of washed sweet flag, timorous pond snipe, nest of guarded duplicate eggs, it shall be you. Mixed tousled hay of head and beard and brow, it shall be you. Trickling sap of maple, filter of manly wheat, it shall be you. Sun so generous, it shall be you. Vapors lighting and shading my face, it shall be you. You sweaty brooks and dews, it shall be you. Winds whose soft tickling genitals rub against me, it shall be you. Broad muscular fields, branches of live oak, loving lounger in my winding path, it shall be you. Hands I have taken, face I have kissed, mortal I have ever touched, it shall be you. I dote on myself, there is that lot of me, and all so luscious. Each moment and whatever happens thrills me with joy. I cannot tell how my ankles bend, nor whence the cause of my faintest wish, nor the cause of the friendship I emit, nor the cause of the friendship I take again. To walk up my stoop is unaccountable. I pause to consider if it really be that I eat and drink is spectacle enough for the great authors and schools. A morning glory at my window satisfies me more than the metaphysics of books. To behold the day break, the little light face the immense and diaphanous shadows. The air tastes good to my palate. Hefts of the moving world at innocent gambols. silently rising, freshly exuding, scooting obliquely high and low. Something I cannot see puts upward libidinous prongs. Seas of bright juice suffuse heaven. The earth by the sky stayed with the daily close of their junction. The heaved challenge from the east, that moment over my head. The mocking taunt, see them whether you shall be master. Dazzling and tremendous how quick the sunrise would kill me, if I could not now and always send sunrise out of me. We also ascend dazzling and tremendous as the sun. We found our own my soul in the calm and cool of the daybreak. My voice goes after what my eyes cannot reach. With the twirl of my tongue I encompass worlds and volumes of worlds. Speech is the twin of my vision. It is unequal to measure itself. It provokes me forever. It says sarcastically, Walt, you understand enough. Why don't you let it out then? Come now, I will not be tantalized. You conceive too much of articulation. Do you not know how the buds beneath are folded, waiting in gloom, protected by frost, the dirt receding before my prophetical screams? I underlying causes to balance them at last. My knowledge, my life parts, it keeping tally with the meaning of things, happiness, which whoever hears me, let him or her set out in search of this day. My final merit, I refuse you. I refuse putting from me the best I am. Encompass worlds, but never try to encompass me. I crowd your noisy talk by looking toward you. Writing and talk do not prove me. I carry the plenum of proof and everything else in my face. With the hush of my lips, I confound the topmost skeptic. I think I would do nothing for a long time but listen, and accrue what I hear into myself, and let sounds contribute toward me. I hear the bravures of birds, the bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks cooking my meals. I hear the sound of the human voice, a sound I love. I hear all sounds as they are turned to their uses, sounds of the city and sounds out of the city, sounds of the day and night. Talkative young ones to those that like them, the recitative of fish peddlers and fruit peddlers, the loud laugh of work people at their meals, the angry bass of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick, the judge with hands tied to the desk, his shaky lips pronouncing a death sentence, the heave-a-yo of stevedores unlading ships by the wharves, the refrain of the anchor lifters, the ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift streaking engines and hose carts with premonitory tinkles and colored lights, the steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at night at the head of the association. They go to guard some corpse. The flag tops are draped with black muslin. I hear the violoncello or man's heart's complaint, and hear the keyed cornet or else the echo of sunset. I hear the chorus, it is the grand opera. This indeed is music. A tenor large and fresh as the creation fills me. The oblique flex of his mouth is pouring and filling me full. I hear the trained soprano, she convulses me like the climax of my love grip. The orchestra whirls me wider than Uranus flies. It wrenches unnameable ardors from my breast. It throws me to gulfs of the farthest down horror. It sails me. I dabbed with my bare feet. They are licked by the indolent waves. I am exposed, cut by bitter and poisoned hail, steeped amid honeyed morphine, my windpipe squeezed in the fakes of death, led up again to fill the puzzle of puzzles, and that we call being. To be in any form, what is that? If nothing lay more developed, the quahog and its callous shell were enough. Mine is no callous shell. I have instant conductors all over me whether I pass or stop. They seize every object and lead it harmlessly through me. I merely stir, press, feel my fingers, and I'm happy. To touch my person to someone else's is about as much as I can stand. Is this then a touch, quavering me to a new identity? Flames and ether making a rush for my veins. Treacherous tip of me reaching and crowding to help them. My flesh and blood playing out lightning to strike what is hardly different from myself. On all sides, prurient provokers stiffening my limbs, straining the udder of my heart for its withheld drip, behaving licentious toward me, taking no denial, depriving me of my best as for a purpose, unbuttoning my clothes and holding me by the bare waist, deluding my confusion with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields, immodestly sliding the fellow senses away. They bribed to swap off with touch and go and graze at the edges of me. No consideration, no regard for my draining strength or my anger, fetching the rest of the herd around to enjoy them a while, then all uniting to stand on a headland and worry me. The centuries desert every other part of me. They have left me helpless to a red marauder. They all come to the headland to witness and assist against me. I am given up by traitors. I talk wildly. I have lost my wits. I and nobody else am the greatest traitor. I went myself first to the headland. My own hands carried me there. You villain touch, what are you doing? My breath is tight in its throat. Unclench your floodgates. You are too much for me. Blind, loving, wrestling touch, sheathed, hooded, sharp-toothed touch. Did it make you ache, so leaving me? Parting, tracked by arriving, perpetual payment of the perpetual loan. Rich showering rain, and recompense richer afterward. Sprouts take and accumulate. Stand by the curb, prolific and vital. Landscapes projected masculine, full-sized and golden. All truths wait in all things. They neither hasten their own delivery nor resist it. They do not need the obstetric forceps of the surgeon. The insignificant is as big to me as any. What is less or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night drives deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute and a drop of me settle my brain. I believe the soggy clods shall become a lover and lamps. And the content of contents is the meat of the man or woman. And a summit and a flower there is the feeling they have for each other. And they are to branch boundlessly out of the lesson until it becomes omnific, and until everyone shall delight us and we them. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the pismire is equally perfect, and the grain of sand and the egg of the wren, and the tree toad is a shade over for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the parlors of heaven, and the narrowest hinge in my hand puts to scorn all machinery, and a cow crunching with depressed head surpasses any statue, and a mouse is a miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. And I could come every afternoon of my life to look at the farmer's girl boiling her iron tea kettle and baking shortcake. I find I incorporate knives and coal and long-threaded moss, and fruits and grains and esculent roots, and I'm stuccoed with quadrupeds and birds all over. And I have distanced what is behind me for good reasons, and call anything close again when I desire it. In vain the speeding or shyness, in vain the plutonic rocks send their old heat against my approach. In vain the mastodon retreats beneath its own powdered bones. In vain objects stand leagues off and assume manifold shapes. In vain the ocean settling in hollows and the great monsters lying low. In vain the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain the razor-billed auk sails far north to Labrador. I follow quickly. I ascend to the nest in a fissure of the cliff. I think I could turn and live a while with the animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them sometimes half the day long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick, discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or industrious over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I do not know where they got those tokens. I must have passed that way untold times ago, and negligently dropped them. Myself moving forward then and now and forever, gathering and showing more always, and with velocity, infinite and omnigenous and alike of these among them, not too exclusive towards the reachers of my remembrancers, picking out here one that shall be my army, choosing to go with him on brotherly terms. A gigantic beauty of a stallion, fresh and responsive to my caresses, head high in the forehead and wide between the ears, limbs glossy and supple, tail dusting the ground, eyes well apart and full of sparkling wickedness, ears finely cut and flexibly moving. His nostrils dilate, my heels embrace him, his well-built limbs tremble with pleasure. We speed around and return. I but use you a moment, and then I resign you, stallion, and do not need your paces, and out-gallop them, and myself as I stand or sit pass faster than you. Swift wind space my soul. Now I know it is true what I guessed at, what I guessed when I loafed on the grass, what I guessed while I lay alone in my bed. And again as I walked the beach under the paling stars of the morning. My ties and ballasts leave me, I travel, I sail, my elbows rest in the sea gaps. I skirt the Sierras, my palms cover continents, I am afoot with my vision. By the city's quadrangular houses, in long huts or camping with lumbermen, along the ruts of the turnpike, along the dry gulch and rivulet bed, hoeing my onion patch and rows of carrots and parsnips, crossing savannas, trading in forests, prospecting, gold digging, girding the trees of a new purchase, scorched ankle deep by the hot sand, hauling my boat down the shallow river, where the panther walks to and fro on a limb overhead, where the buck turns furiously at the hunter, where the rattlesnake suns his flabby lengths on the rock, where the otter is feeding on fish, where the alligator in his tough pimple sleeps in the bayou, where the black bear is searching for roots or honey, where the beaver pats the mud with his paddle tail, over the growing sugar, over the cotton plant, over the rice in its low moist field, over the sharp-peaked farmhouse with its scalloped scum and slender shoots from the gutters, over the western persimmon, over the long-leaved corn and the delicate blue-flowered flax, over the white and brown buckwheat, a hummer and a buzzer there with the rest, over the dusky green of the rye as it ripples and shades in the breeze, scaling mountains, pulling myself cautiously up, holding on by low scagged limbs, walking the path worn in the grass and beat through the leaves of the brush, where the quail is whistling betwixt the woods and the wheat lot, where the bat flies in a July eve, where the great goldbuck drop through the dark, where the flails keep time on the barn floor, where the brook puts out of the roots of the old tree and flows to the meadow, where cattle stand and shake away flies with the tremulous shuddering of their hides, where the cheesecloth hangs in the kitchen and andirons straddle the hearth slab, and cobwebs fall in festoons from the rafters, where the trip hammers crash, where the press is whirling its cylinders, wherever the human heart beats with terrible throes out of its ribs, where the pear-shaped balloon is floating aloft, floating in it myself and looking composedly down, where the life car is drawn on a slip noose, where the heat hatches pale green eggs in a dented sand, where the she-whale swims with her calves and never forsakes them, where the steamship trails hindways its long pennant of smoke, where the ground shark's fin cuts like a black chip out of the water, where the half-burned brick is riding on unknown currents, where shells grow to her slimy deck and the dead are corrupting below, where the striped and starred flag is borne at the head of the regiments, approaching Manhattan up by the long stretching island. Upon Niagara, the cataracts falling like a veil over my countenance. Up on the doorstep, up on the horse block of hardwood outside, up on the race course, or enjoying picnics, or jigs, or a good game of baseball. At he festivals with blackguard jives, and ironical license, and ball dances, and drinking and laughter. At the cider mill, tasting the sweet of the brown squash, sucking the juice through a straw. At apple peelings, wanting kisses for all the red fruit I find. At musters and beach parties, and friendly bees, and huskings and house raisings, where the mockingbird sounds his delicious gurgles, and cackles and screams and weeps, where the hayrick stands in the barnyard and the dry stalks are scattered, and the brood cow waits in a hovel, where the bull advances to do his masculine work, and the stud to the mare, and the cock is threading the hen, where the heifers browse and the geese nip their food with short jerks, where the sundown shadows lengthen over the limitless and lonesome prairie, where the herds of buffalo make a crawling spread of the square miles far and near, where the hummingbird shimmers, where the neck of the long-lived swan is curving and winding, where the laughing gull scoots by the sloppy shore and laughs her near-human laugh, where a beehive ranch on a gray bench in a garden, half hid by the high weeds, where the band-necked partridges roost in a ring on the ground with their heads out, where burial coaches enter the arched gates of the cemetery, where winter wolves bark amid wastes of snow and icicled trees, where the yellow-crowned heron comes to the edge of the marsh at night and feeds upon small crabs, where the splash of swimmers and divers cools the warm noon, where the katydid works her chromatic reed on a walnut tree over the well, through patches of citrons and cucumbers with silver-wired leaves, through the salt lick or orange glade, or under conical firs, through the gymnasium, through the curtained salon, through the office or public hall, pleased with the native and pleased with the foreign, pleased with the new and old, pleased with women, the homely as well as the handsome, pleased with the Quakers as she puts off her bonnet and talks melodiously, pleased with the primitive turns of the choir of the whitewashed church, pleased with the earnest words of sweating Methodist preacher, or any preacher, looking seriously at the camp meeting, looking in at the shop windows in Broadway the whole forenoon, pressing the flesh of my nose to the thick plate glass, wandering the same afternoon with my face turned up to the clouds, my right and left arms around the size of two friends and I in the middle, coming home with the bearded and dark-cheeked bush boy riding behind him at the drape of the day, far from the settlement studying the prints of animals' feet or the moccasin print, by the cot in the hospital reaching lemonade to a feverish patient, by the coffined corpse when all is still, examining with a candle, voyaging to every port to digger and adventure, hurrying with the modern crowd, as eager and fickle as any, hot toward one I hate, ready in my madness to knife him, solitary at midnight in my backyard, my thoughts gone from me a long while, walking the old hills of Judea with the beautiful gentle God by my side, speeding through space, speeding through heaven and the stars, speeding amid the 7 satellites in the broad ring and a diameter of 80,000 miles, speeding with tailed meteors, throwing fireballs like the rest, carrying the crescent child that carries its own full mother in its belly, storming, enjoying, planning, loving, cautioning, backing and feeling, appearing and disappearing. I tread day and night such roads. I visit the orchards of God and look at the spheric product, and look at quintillions ripened, and look at quintillions green. I fly the flight of the fluid and swallowing soul. My course runs below the soundings of plummets. I help myself to material and immaterial. No guard can shut me off, no law can prevent me. I anchor my ship for a little while only. My messengers continuously cruise away or bring their returns to me. I go hunting polar furs and a seal, leaping chasms with a pike-pointed staff, clinging to topples of brittle and blue. I ascend to the foretrack. I take my place late at night in a crow's nest. We sail through the Arctic Sea. It is plenty light enough. Through the clear atmosphere, I stretch around on the wonderful beauty. The enormous masses of ice pass me, and I pass them. The scenery is plain in all directions. The white-topped mountains point up in the distance. I fling up my fancies towards them. We are about approaching some great battlefield in which we are soon to be engaged. We pass the colossal outposts of the encampments. We pass with still feet and caution. Or we are entering by the suburbs some vast and ruined city. The blocks and fallen architecture more than all the living cities of the globe. I am a free companion. I bivouac by invading watchfires. I turn the bridegroom out of bed and stay with the bride myself, and tighten her all night in my thighs and lips. My voice is the wife's voice, that screech by the rail of the stairs. They fetch my man's body up dripping and drowned. I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times and all times. How the skipper saw the crowded and rudderless wreck of the steamship, and death chasing it up and down the storm. How he knuckled tight and gave not back 1 inch, and was faithful of days and faithful of nights, and chalked in large letters on the board, "Be of good cheer, we will not desert you." How he saved the drifting company at last. How the lank, loose-gowned women looked when bolted from the side of their prepared graves. How the silent old-faced infants, and the lifted sick, and the sharp-lipped unshaved man. All this I swallow, and it tastes good. I like it well, and it becomes mine. I am the man, I suffered, I was there. The disdain and calmness of martyrs. The mother condemned for a witch and burned with dry wood, and her children gazing on. The hounded slave that flags in a race and leans by the fence blowing and covered with sweat. The twinges that sting like needles his legs and neck. The murderous buckshot and the bullets. All this I feel or am. I am the hounded slave. I wince at the bite of the dogs. Hell and despairs are upon me. Crack and again crack the marksman. I clutch the rails of the fence, my gore drips thinned with the ooze of my skin. I fall on the weeds and stones. The riders spur their unwilling horses and howl close. They taunt my dizzy ears, they beat me violently over the head with their whipstocks. Agonies are one of my changes of garments. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. My hurt turns livid upon me as I lean on a cane and observe. I am the mashed fireman with breastbone broken. Tumbling walls buried me in their debris. Heat and smoke I inspired. I heard the yelling shouts of my comrades. I heard the distant click of their picks and shovels. They have cleared the beams away. They tenderly lift me forth. I lie in the night air in my red shirt. The pervading hush is for my sake. Painless after all I lie, exhausted but not so unhappy. White and beautiful are faces around me, the heads are bared of their fire caps. The kneeling crowd fades with the lights of the torches. Distant and dead resuscitate. They show as the dial or move as the hands of me, and I am the clock myself. I am an old artillerist and tell of some fort's bombardment, and I'm there again. Again the reveille of drummers, again the attacking cannon and mortars and howitzers. Again the attacked send their cannon responsive. I take part, I see and hear the whole. The cries and curses and roar, the applause for well-aimed shots. The ambulanza slowly passing and trailing its red drip. Workmen searching after damages and to make indispensable repairs. The fall of grenades through the rent roof, the fan-shaped explosion, the whiz of limbs, heads, stone, wood, and iron high in the air. Again gurgles the mouth of my dying general. He furiously waves with his hand. He gasps through the clod, mind not me, mind the entrenchments.